Hello! Welcome back to Across the Table. This is the beginning of Season 2. We're on video. You can see us now. Everyone smile and wave at the camera.
We got to give names for all the voices now, which is great.
Yeah, so everyone, that's good. Everyone introduce yourself. I am Matthew.
Anybody go next?
I'm Najee.
Jacob.
Corey.
I'm today's guest, Tim.
I was just about to say, we have a very special guest on. If you've been listening to Season 1 at all, you've probably heard Tim referenced quite a few times. It is my brother.
Hello.
So Tim is with us.
Yep, I'm here.
And
Good to be here.
today, we're having a debate. So put your thinking caps on. It's about to get serious.
Going down.
It's going.
If any of you have ever seen the movie WALL-E, then you'll be quite familiar with today's topic. The mini scenes comprising the what most would call overweight humans floating around in hover chairs that give them whatever they would like is what we're talking about today. Whether or not society needs such a device. And on one side is Tim.
I speak for the chairs.
He has requested to be by himself against the rest of the Up and Out Studios / Across the Table team. I will be the moderator for today, and I think we're going to have some fun. So, the first question that I would like to pose, and I will give each of you 5 minutes to respond. How would such a device... 10 minutes if you'd like. I think I actually have 10 minutes written down. We'll go with 10 minutes. How would such a device...
I thought we were going down.
Oh, no. Hopefully, if you're done after a certain amount of time, feel free to pass it over to the next player. How would such a device help / hurt society? And Tim, since you're our guest, we'll start with you.
Let's hear it.
All right, first off, I just want to thank you guys for allowing me to be here today. I think that I'm super excited to be here. I've heard a lot of the podcast episodes myself, and I really respect each and every one of your individual opinions and thoughts, and I think you all will all have a lot of value add to bring to any discussion, including this one. That being said, I understand that we're in discussion of the value of the WALL-E chair, which, in my opinion, happens to be high. Let me explain. So, first of all, I have a slight objection with how the whole topic was being introduced. It was introduced purely talking about a dystopian future that was completely shown to you in the movie WALL-E, where there are these overweight humans that have lost all their bones and don't do anything anymore because, in effect, the assumption is that they were too comfortable and had everything done for them as a result of our chairs. Okay? Can we all agree with that? Mm-hmm. This is one side of the argument, and that's how it was posed in the original question, completely unbiased from the start. Second off, these chairs have a ton of practicality, okay? And I'm going to list off a few different ways. One, they're comfortable. Who doesn't like to be comfortable? Okay? If you're going to go out and tell me that there's not been an increase in comfort over just furniture in general in the market, and I understand, feel free, I think this is odd that everyone's just staring at me and I'm just talking, but we'll get a little back and forth going eventually.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll talk about comfort. That's one big thing. There's obviously an ever-growing consumer demand for comfort, and people continue to want it and continue to need it. And there is a reason for it. It's not just because society sucks and everybody's lazy and nobody wants to do anything for the rest of their lives, and that's why people just keep feeding them super comfortable chairs. That's one. Two, WALL-E chairs have extra added value in the sense that they can help increase efficiency in large-scale environments with mass people. The ship in WALL-E housed the remaining of the human race in a small, relatively small compared to the planet Earth, environment in which they all had to basically work together to survive despite the fact that they may have trashed their planet and done terrible things to it. That's a problem with humanity. And the robots who have come up as a result of the problems that humanity created these chairs to essentially herd the humans to do what they needed to do.
So essentially, what I just heard is that the robots, we were the sheep, and the robots were in control.
Damn straight.
Okay.
The chairs aren't the problem, it's the people. The chairs are a tool to help quell the people problem. Can you argue that?
I think that, I don't know, it just feels weird to say like the chairs were a tool in like pretty much dumbing down people. Is what it feels like.
No. The chairs aren't a tool in dumbing down people. The chairs are a tool to appease an already dumb people.
So there's no hope for humanity in either direction.
Absolutely not. Think about it. How much do you want to be able to sit in a chair that feeds you a milkshake? Just at your core. Think about it. On a day where you're not feeling that good, it's raining outside, your best movie's on, you don't want to get up. You don't want to have to go into the kitchen and make yourself a milkshake. You don't want to go to the store. You can just sit there. It'll change your clothes for you. It'll feed you a milkshake. You're watching how many episodes in a
Just
row
put
of
me
your
on life
favorite
support
anime?
while you're at it, you know?
I was gonna say, yeah, pull the plug.
Think about it. Think about it though. What's your longest binge session you've ever done on an anime show?
I don't know.
Jacob's probably not the one to ask about that.
No? Anybody?
Najee, maybe.
Najee?
5 days.
5 days.
5 days.
5 days. We live
That
in
is
an
incessantly
environment
impressive.
that is catered towards a constant consumption. And I get it. You're worried that these chairs are going to contribute to an ever-growing problem of consumption. And while I respect the ideology in the room, I just don't think the chairs are the problem. I am here to defend the chairs, and I think they have more pros than cons in an ever-declining human environment.
Thank you, Tim. Moving on to the UIO team.
Thanks for coming.
Yep.
We've all been convinced, so we're moving on.
Yeah, we're definitely going to go invest in these chairs, and that's it. We're done. We're good.
The
Fantastic.
next topic is movies.
Yeah.
We talked about this beforehand.
Who wants to-
Honestly, it's one of those. I partially agree and I partially disagree. One of the big things that I agree on is the people are the problem, not the product. Where it's like you can make the similar argument as the chairs, the same argument for the chairs as you can for cell phones, where it's like everyone's like, oh, everyone's stupid because they're relying on their phone. No one ever knows where they're going, so they use it in directions. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, I get that. Like it's overuse and it's the user problem. So never blaming the product for something is never the solution,
I agree with that.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other argument is the other side of that is, do you feed into that? Like, do you get so if you willingly know that people are a certain way,
Right.
do you go, all right, well then let's give them more of that? So like, okay, people are lazy, so let's go, all right, yeah, well if people are lazy, let's make them more lazy. Let's go and sit in this chair, and then that's it. You don't have to walk around.
Well, I mean, in the conversation of laziness, though, that is the reason technology is as far as it is. It's the whole concept that the human brain is wired to take the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So we create things that makes things as efficient and easy as humanly possible for us. Enter the chair.
Yep.
That is not good. So the reason I'm not for the chair, I got multiple. I got multiple reasons now. You gave me some more ammo as you were talking. The biggest one for me, though, is just health alone. Humans were not designed to sit still for extended periods of time. It's just not healthy. It's not healthy for blood flow. It's bad for your heart. It's bad for your brain. It's bad for all of your organs. It's just not good. Sitting for long periods of time is proven after point by multiple medical journals to not be good for your body. That's my major point of the chair. The
I
other
can't argue
point,
that. I agree with that.
The other point, though, is as I'm thinking about it, and you're talking about mass areas where you have these chairs, how much is the infrastructure going to have to change to support millions of people floating around in chairs? I mean, think about something as simple as a door. What are doors going to be now?
You gotta make the door a little bit bigger, yeah.
Every door is
What are
going
you
to be a
gonna do with
handicap door.
what are you going to do with
Where you hit the button
sidewalks?
and it opens.
That's amazing.
Do cars still exist? Are cars still a thing?
Well, here's the thing. I actually think, okay, the more I think about it, the more the chair works into, okay, this is really big point for you. So, like, but it's really going to, so ideally this ties into Tesla's ecosystem, where the chair then fits into the car. So you've got, roads and streets. So the chair goes around.
Fast travel.
And then everyone can fit into a car, and then you can get to the Hyperloop station, and then all the cars fit in the Hyperloop, and it's like it all fits into a really tight ecosystem. SpaceX.
Enter the other problem, though.
Controlled ecosystem.
Enter the other problem, though.
Yeah.
How are you powering all this?
How are you?
No, enter
powering
SpaceX.
all
The
this?
Hyperloop takes you to the station. You hop on the fucking rocket, and then you're in space.
Well, this is assuming that if we're changing the entire mass infrastructure of society, that
Yeah.
we're going to have a better power source of
Yeah.
some kind, whether it's solar or some sort of magnets or something that's happening. How are they powering the Hyperloop?
That's actually a good question. I don't know. I think it's probably electric.
Yeah.
It's probably the same as
Most-
tracks.
most
So
is-
they're never. It's never.
Most of those are electromagnetic.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
That's the big technology as
Yeah,
far
yeah,
as
yeah.
fast travel in one direction.
700 miles an
Yeah.
hour. Yeah.
I get your point though on logistics.
Yeah,
I think
like-
is where you're really at. Like,
Logistically speaking,
let's hear it. Yeah.
Well, no, because that's what I was gonna tie into. Because how long do you imagine? Is this this is how you just go about your daily life, like sitting in this chair? Like, do you sleep in the chair? Like,
because and then here's the other thing. Here's the other thing.
It's not healthy.
If we're all in chairs, then a lot of things have to change in order for that to be possible. Like we have to have arrived at the point where basically we have nothing but robots doing all forms of manual labor. Because otherwise, nothing's getting done.
Well, I think I agreed, but I think the big argument here, the main thing we should focus on as the three of us
Yeah.
is health.
Health, yeah.
That is I think our biggest counterpoint, because I think the average life expectancy would drop ridiculously.
Quarter.
Yeah, it's
would be
like
quarter.
it would be a lot.
You'd
And
lose
like
a quarter
I
of your
already feel
lifespan.
bad. I get like headaches if I'm not active.
Mm-hmm.
And, like if I'm just not doing anything and I'm eating like garbage, then it's just I already feel like shit after a few days. Let alone if I spent my entire existence sitting down, not getting any activity, and then also sitting all day long.
Yeah.
so I need to ask. You said a quarter. How do you know that?
Quarter lifespan. It's in the journal.
it's-
I'll share all the articles.
Okay, because I didn't want to just
Yes.
like throw
No,
something
yes.
out there and be like,
do you have defense articles?
Oh, yes,
Excellent.
100%.
That's excellent.
But yeah, literally, there was in one of the journals I read is a British medical journal. I don't remember which doctor. We'll share all the links for these. But she was basically saying the human body was designed to walk and move about. It is what keeps us at our healthiest, because walking is a low impact form of exercise for us. It promotes circulation throughout your body, and it helps all your organs work, doing their job the way that they're supposed to do. So when you sit for long periods of time, like she even said, for every 20 minutes that you're sitting, ideally you should stand up for a minute, just to promote blood flow through your body.
Excellent.
Which is like, I didn't even know that. Made me feel guilty about my gaming.
You know
business.
how that would be a lot easier to control if you had a chair that could make you stand up every 20 minutes.
But then
But
who
you-
wants that chair?
but
Because-
you're
then-
still not
But
walking
the other
around.
20
You're not-
minutes is super comfortable.
See, but that negates your comfort, though. I feel like you've lost half your crowd there.
Not necessarily, because this has once again become an argument on humanity and their willingness to exercise over the chair. The chair is good. The chair is a product. The chair does not have a say in this. It does not have an opinion. It is not telling you what to do. It is a chair, and it is a comfortable chair for reasons of wanting to be comfortable.
Thank
like
you.
that is it.
Thank you all for your comments on the first question.
Oh,
We'll be moving on to the next one.
I have a lot more to say. Okay.
It falls in line. Please don't feel like you're losing anything. For our next question, I would like both parties to please outline the natural progression of humanity moving forward as best you can with or without the Wally chair. And since Tim went first last time, we'll start with the UIO team, please.
Well, I think I started with that. The last thing I said was the Tesla ecosystem. I think that's what we're going to get towards, which is just everything being compatible and working. We already have autopilot, so then why not have autopilot on the sidewalk, where it's just like, all right, we've got the fast lane for fast chairs, we got slow chairs in the other lane.
What's another thing?
You know?
Traffic.
Yeah.
There's traffic with chairs.
Now there's traffic with chairs. Could you imagine?
My God.
I already lose my mind on the road, let alone on the sidewalk.
Can I sidebar?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think autopilot is going to help or hurt traffic as it is
Help.
today? Help.
They're already getting rid of. Tesla has this scared the shit out of Jacob when I told you about it the other day.
What?
They're designing intersections
Yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
don't have lights.
Yeah, I know.
So autopilot communicates with the other cars in the area, and they automatically go at certain speeds that they won't crash. So like, all right, you've got two cars coming to an intersection. They communicate with each other, and one of them goes, all right, I'm going to go 50. This one's going to go 30. I'm going to go through the intersection first. You're going to go next. Neither of them have to stop.
See, I think total vehicle autonomy is very dangerous, though.
It's very dangerous.
It's extremely dangerous.
Total.
As soon as you put something on a network,
But you
It's
can't
very
you can't have
From
that work
security.
if it's not total.
from just a security perspective.
Okay,
No, but
but not from like a
yes, correct.
practicality. Like in a perfect world where there's no security concerns and
Well,
everything
even-
works
well,
the way it's
here's-
supposed to.
Exactly.
It
It's
is
perfect.
much
Well,
better.
here's
That's
the other
great.
major issue. It's like, what happens if you have a bug or a malfunction in your system, and the entire road is autopilot?
And
I'm
people
gonna-
just like start crashing into.
I'm going
into
to
each
counter
other.
that point and just give you two quick things. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm willing to wager that the vast majority of automobile accidents today are resulting in human error.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, yes.
Yeah? So right now you have hundreds of millions of people with the possibility of committing a human error. You switch everything to a network scenario where there's a much smaller group of people who are focused on the software. Your percentage of people capable of committing a human error that could, in essence, cause an issue
Yeah.
significantly decreases.
Fair point. But of those 100 million people, one of those people makes a mistake, it affects maybe 2 or 3. Those 3 people in that room make a mistake, it affects all 100 million.
It could. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
So it's
And it also like if all of that is going to be centralized like power, it makes it a target for people to like want. Like
So-
if you know what I mean.
because I'll never argue that humans are good at driving. It's not a thing. We were never meant to be in large metal things flying over
Keep
60 miles
pushing
an
the
hour.
boundaries, like when they were starting, like less than 100 years ago.
That
it
was
like
basically
10
at
miles
one
per
point
hour.
the car.
And your car lasted 5 miles, and
At
then
one
it was
point,
done. The engine killed
The
itself.
argument that we're having about chairs is the argument that was had about cars before cars were big on the scene.
Have you ever seen the movie Year One?
Yes.
With Jack Black? And like the first time they're out of their village, they see someone with like a horse and buggy, and they're like, "What is this?" And they get in the back of it, and it's going like 2 miles an hour, but they're just vomiting
Oh my gosh.
Completely freaking out.
because they can't handle just the motion. It's like I don't know why that just made me think of it, but like we just progress so fast,
Yeah.
and like how quick and it's like
I don't know. I feel like progression-wise, I don't see us progressing to the chair.
It doesn't seem
seems
like
a step backwards.
it doesn't.
It does.
Okay.
It would appear as a step backwards if our focus went into.
Here's the thing. I see it as a toy. It is, when the hoverboard was huge a couple years ago, like that's what it is. It's like people will use it. It'll be exciting for a little while, but we as people get so bored with this shit so easy. I don't think someone's going to be like, I'm fucking tired of sitting. I'm going to get up and walk. Like I think we're going to get to
That's
that
a real
point.
thing that people say now. It's like
Yeah.
they come home from like work after being like 9 to 5 in their little cubicle, like
Yeah.
tired of sitting. Like
Yeah,
I want
I-
to
like
do
they wanna-
something.
So even if it is a thing, it will never become like ecosystem like huge. Like everyone's going to use it, and it's going to be the only form of transportation. People are going to be walking no matter what.
To both of your points, that is happening. Segway is building the people mover chair.
Yeah,
It's right here.
Honda had one a couple years ago. It's actually pretty sweet.
So like it's happening, like whether we like it or not. And it's just a comment on
Yeah,
what
but that
people
chair
want.
can't make you your milkshake that you want, though.
Not yet.
Not yet.
This is V1.
This is version 23 will definitely have it.
Like things grow as consumer culture and demand increases, and things evolve. And if there's one thing I've seen over the pattern of the human race, it is that there is never a decline in the demand for comfort.
Correct.
I just think, I think for the general idea of it, like running towards comfort so fast, it just makes us boring, and it doesn't I don't know. It feels a little bit like you're just missing something.
It
Like-
does.
Yeah.
I understand that. I think it's a scary thing to think about, like us as a human race racing towards the path of least resistance and comfort, which is essentially what we've always done.
Always.
Why we created the wheel, why we created heating and cooling and temperature control, which we're enjoying so lovely right now. Like why we created the internet so that we can communicate across the entire planet without having to actually travel anywhere. Everything that has been done has specifically been done to make things easier on us.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except space travel.
I don't know if easier and comfort are the same thing.
Fair point.
There's a lot of things that are like
There's a
tools
fine
that are
line.
easy. Yeah, there's simplifying, and then there's comfort. Because like the internet rides that line.
The internet for communication is simplified. Facebook is comfort.
Correct. It's how you use it.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's a good point. I think there is definitely a fine line with practicality and comfort. And yeah, you don't necessarily have to group them together.
Yeah.
But I do believe that comfort plays a big role in people's drive to want to change and to want to improve. Because let's just take, for example, making milk or butter. Let's make butter.
Okay.
Right? You know how you had to work to make butter
Yeah.
like 100 years ago? You'd have to milk a cow, and then you'd have to go and you'd have to physically churn this milk until it became butter. And it would take hours and hours, and you'd work your ass off. And someone, somewhere, decided that not everybody needs to do that. And everyone was real happy about that. Because now you can get butter by going to the store and buying it. Because somebody created a machine that does all of that for you. Comfort
Yeah.
is the driving factor, I
Yeah,
think. in
that's
that.
great. And what that does is it frees people up to be able to explore their passions and the things that they want.
Sure.
We don't have to sit here and labor so hard over butter or whatever the thing is.
Well, we got breakfast. Okay, so imagine we're on the way to the podcast. We're like, all right, we got to go record this morning, but Jake and I need breakfast first. So we have to then make a biscuit, kill a
Yo.
chicken, fucking make some hash browns, go to Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
and then make some sweet tea. So like we'd have to get up, I don't know, roughly a couple hours.
4 a.m. bare
4
minimum.
a.m.
Yeah.
to like make our breakfast
Before the crack of
to
dawn.
then get here to record this, and then we have to go home and probably do the same thing for lunch. It would take us a long time. So I mean, not that it takes forever to make something that simple, but it's like it is efficiency. Is moving towards efficiency. I don't know. It frees up people to do other things, like you were saying. That's the
Yeah.
point I want to hit on.
And I got another follow-up question to your point, which is frees people up to do more things that they want to do that they think are productive for society or whatever it could be, right?
Or just like personal whatever.
Yeah. How much of work today is physical labor as compared to blue collar, like sit down at a computer and create something digital work?
I would say half.
Half.
So, yeah,
It's
Maybe.
probably floating. It might even actually be like a 60-40.
How
situation.
much productive add value work today it requires, like, I don't know, just ballpark guess percentage, requires you to be able to lift a box that's 50 pounds or more or get up and move around?
I would say less than 40%.
Less than 40%. Human advancement is moving in a direction that does not require as much physical labor.
Well, there's labor.
Well, here's the thing.
So there's
Yeah.
pushing yourself to a limit, and then there's like health. So there's maintaining a healthy like amount of being just healthy to be alive.
Yeah.
Just like there's a certain level you have to maintain, and then there's going above and beyond that where it's like, well, I have to lift this 50-pound box. I have to go lift weights. There's two types. There's like the, I don't know, maintaining your health, and then there's just physical labor for the sake of physical labor.
And this,
Well, you can be like in Mr. Universe and like become a bodybuilder and work your ass off to try and do that.
Yeah.
But it's an aesthetic choice for you. Just you don't need to do that.
Well, right, and we already have people using mobility scooters because they're just morbidly obese, and they get
It's true.
and they get now they just need to make them hover. It's like make 600 pounds hover off the ground. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's like that's already a thing, and it's already bad.
I agree with you. I can't argue the fact that there is an epidemic in society where people aren't doing enough for their personal health, and that there is an abundance of products that make it easier to not do that.
so why add another?
And it goes back to your point earlier, what you were saying with, shoot, I'm losing it. I forget.
Oh.
But there was something you were saying, and I lost my thought.
Okay. Why add another? Tell me some sort of a technological advancement that you agree with.
Probably all of it, to be honest.
Just
It's
pick
just
one.
like cell phone.
Cell phone. How many arguments are there that exist against cell phones?
A lot. I
Actually
actually
a
saw.
lot, yeah.
Did you hear about? Oh man, there was some Democratic senator. I forget where. But did you hear about this? Do you know where I'm going? They're proposing to put a ban on cell phones if you are under the age of 21 in whatever state he's from.
I heard something about this
That's
somewhere. I don't remember where.
Insane.
Yeah, it's insane.
That is unbelievable to me. Like,
Why? What is his reasoning?
because every person should have to make that choice for themselves or for their kid. No 16-year-old is going out and buying their phone and paying their cell phone plan.
What's the senator's reasoning?
What? I don't even know. The reasoning is like car accidents and distraction, stuff like that. And it's like, but that's up to the
See,
person.
But that highlights a good point that I was going to come across. See, one of the big issues we have with technology is that technology has done this, and human evolution has kind of done that.
I disagree. I think physical evolution has done that.
And that's what I
but
mean.
I think mental
That's-
evolution has
yeah,
kept
but
up with the
that's-
rate of
but that's-
technology progression.
that's the issue.
Which is arguably more important.
I think that it's not as close as you think it is, because think of like the way the internet has like changed society, and it's changed the way we think, communicate. Like there's so much to go with that. And how old is the internet?
15 years is like widespread adoption of the internet.
Yeah, which it's becoming common, especially like it just is. But the way we treat it, it still feels like a child because it's so new compared to like our, back to your point, our evolutionary like biological nature and how our brain works. Like we don't know the effects of what the internet does and like all of this massive information that is just overloading our brains. Like we don't know what that actually does to us. So it's
true.
This is like an infant, and we are exploring it, and it's good because it gives us a lot of good things, but it's brand new.
Sure. So this kind of takes me back to my original point, which was no matter what technological advancement, there's always an argument, and there's somebody who's going to misuse that technology.
Yeah.
Why punish the people who aren't by not creating it, by catering to the irresponsible?
Because from a human psychological standpoint, most of the people aren't going to use it right.
See, back to the inherent issue with
Most.
humanity, not
Yeah,
the
right.
chair.
It's so hard to argue against you when I agree. It's like I'm really trying to come up with other
Yeah.
points, but it's like my big thing. Just so everybody knows, my thing is like make what you're gonna make, and then everybody should have the choice.
Yeah.
Everybody should have the choice to use it or not. That's actually what I stand on, and going against that to go like no health.
Yeah, but see, I think that
It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
That skirts the responsibility for people to create things with humans in mind, though, which I think is not a good thing at all.
If you can't help yourself, I disagree with you.
If you go off and you tell somebody that you can make whatever you want, and everybody else is just responsible for how they use it, imagine what the hell would be out here right now.
That's how.
That's no FDA. That's
Yeah.
because that's basically what the FDA
Yeah, you have
is.
no regulations
That's
on.
no regulation. So you can just put out a drug and be like, yeah,
Yeah,
Use or don't.
going back to like
Whatever
your point
happens,
where like
Pretty much happened for most of history.
exactly, which is not
Until-
why we have the FDA. It's maintaining a degree. Well, we could do a whole podcast on that, which we will later this season. But but the entire reason you have the FDA is bringing about some form of
The
regulation
big ol' asterisk.
to try to try and keep people accountable for what they're making.
Yeah.
Because if you understand human psychology, which most people do, anybody who does any form of marketing or advertising understands human psychology to a certain degree.
Sure.
Which is all the people who are creating these products.
Sure.
So like you make something so that people will buy it.
Yep.
You understand what's the most appealing thing. So
Absolutely.
you understand human psychology. So therefore, if you were to release something that you knew based off the human psychology that you understand and your advertising experience, people are going to abuse.
it
Why
goes
create
back
it?
to like part of the reason why people hate capitalism, or those people that do hate it, like because people are gonna abuse the ability to like sell something even though they know it's harmful for most people.
Sure.
Like that's just for whatever reason, people get in positions like that and they want to take advantage of it. They go, "Oh, I can advance myself at the cost of society." Like, and people choose themselves all the time. Granted, there's probably a lot of people who don't, but there still are people who do. And so you need those regulations as much as those organizations kind of
Skirt us.
aren't great
Yeah.
at a lot of things. It's still necessary. And I'll go, so back to the initial like video of what I saw for the Wall-E chair. Like what I saw in there is just a bunch of people that were overweight. And I saw that and I'm like, people aren't healthy. And what I want people to be healthy. I want them to be healthy mentally, physically, like emotionally, all the things that we would deem important.
Absolutely.
And what I saw in that, it doesn't lead me to look at that and go, oh, it's going to be healthy. And so I agree with you. Like, I think that people should make their own decisions. But I look at that and I go, is that the direction that we would go? Would we just like sit in our chairs all day and like not do anything? And I want to, like, again, going back to health, like it's not healthy to sit all day.
Yeah.
So, and I know you can put regulations on it to
Right.
make people go up and like get exercise, but
And then that even pulls to the point. You said you have a passion for data. What in the data supports that chair won't be abused based off of previous experience and what we understand about human?
I think I need to take it back to the source, and which is I appreciate you referencing the movie again, because at the end of the day, those chairs and that entire environment exists because humanity destroyed planet Earth, right? Mm-hmm. They threw their trash in giant piles and tried to create everything and ruin the planet and did everything terrible, and then ultimately created robots and technology that just took over, and they figured out the best way forward for humanity. Those robots, in that scenario, I believe, created those chairs and that entire environment to quell the problem of humanity, which was humanity.
Well, I don't think the robots made them.
I don't know that they didn't. I don't know that they did. Don't know that they didn't.
It actually is not specified in the movie.
Yeah.
I
But
watched
all
that.
of them like serve the people, like in the movie. Like everything's controlled. There's like the one live action part where it's the actual president that's like doing everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's it. All right, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. You know.
I mean, think about it. Like, if you just like do true artificial intelligence and robots figure out that humanity is the problem, but they have a prime directive in their programming to not harm humans.
Yeah.
What's the quickest way to solve the problem? By not harming
Make
humans.
them cattle.
Ship them off Earth.
make
Just
them cattle.
Honestly, yeah, make them cattle.
Make them
That's the
make
biggest
them
solution.
super happy, love their lives, and get out of the way.
I feel like this is doing the ostrich effect, though, where you just like stick your head in the sand and you go, I can't see the problem, so it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and so
It like
That was the whole point of the
See,
movie.
yeah,
the whole
it
point of
was.
the movie was don't ignore shit.
exactly, and I feel like getting to a point like that, it just I don't know. I don't want to ignore problems.
I understand the point that you're getting at. Like a chair has no more personhood than a gun does, right? Guns is a big conversation about why do we make them, why do
Absolutely.
we have them.
I figured the gun thing would come up.
Right. Neither of the two have any more personhood than us. Like they're inanimate objects. They're tools that people use.
Correct.
But just like you can make the argument with like, hey, we probably shouldn't make machine guns available to the public because that could have adverse effects. Same situation with the chair. Maybe we shouldn't make this chair available to the public because of all the adverse effects it might have.
But do you think we shouldn't have made machine guns at all?
See,
You don't want me to answer that. Because we went into a whole other debate.
I mean, there's an argument that maybe we
yes.
shouldn't have. Maybe we shouldn't have ever made a lot of things, but I think that argument can be made too.
Yeah.
But at the core of it, at the end of the day, if I'm a responsible adult and I'm capable of keeping my own health in check, and I would just want the ability to sit in a chair that fed me a milkshake while I binge watched a Netflix show, I want that.
In a perfect world, your chair works. In a perfect world, that chair works.
In a perfect
It
world,
really does.
communism works too. So
Yeah, if people aren't people, then everything works.
It works.
If-
Literally.
yeah.
It's-
If people
but
aren't
it's-
people.
That's
a good
you
I
have
like
to
that.
you have to consistently factor in human error. You always have to factor in human error, and it's always what screws everything up.
Thank you. Thank you again for your comments.
Oh, yeah, question.
Oh, yeah.
Moving into
Hold on. How many times are we
great-
supposed to stand up within
great
how
debate.
long?
Every 20 minutes.
All right, well, we're at
For-
50, so if everybody wants to stand up real quick,
Yes.
just like...
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Are-
Let's practice what
exercise
we're
it. Yeah,
preaching.
There we go. All right.
all right.
A
It is
minute of
quite-
standing.
It is quite nice.
Feels good.
Yeah.
You can feel
It's
the blood like
effect
rush
of like
through
when you're
everything.
sitting in the car traveling for a long
Yeah,
time,
and
and
then
you
you-
get out and you go, "Oh my gosh!"
The last thing you want to do is go sit in a chair.
Right?
Well, let's sit
All
back
right,
down in
yep.
our chairs.
Good. That was nice.
Cheers.
That is good. That is nice.
Based on the conversation as it is ebbed and flowed, as Tim referenced to earlier, I think the appropriate question we now should discuss is, what is the right balance between man and machine?
Wow.
Tim, you can start us off.
Okay. First off, I think, we've had some really great conversations about the potential values and damages of this chair and technology as a whole and human evolution and the problems with humanity. And as Corey put it, everything's perfect if humanity doesn't exist or aren't the way they are. I can't remember exactly how he said it. That being said, I think the chair itself isn't inherently an issue. I think the issue is inherent in humanity and what, people will do with the chair.
I think that's fair.
That's fair. Yeah. That being said, regulations we talked about and all these different types of things exist in order to basically battle the ineptitude of humanity.
And a losing battle it is.
In a losing battle, it always is. We will always figure out a way to fuck it up.
Yeah.
To do something in our own personal self-interest, to advance ourselves, to continue to push other people down, to elevate ourselves. Because at the core of human development and human something, there's just this hunger for growth. Personal growth. Whether it's your own success, whether it's your own influence over others, whatever it could be, regardless of to grow, you need more. And so there's always this, it always just exists. So when you start thinking about the balance between man and machine, which is the question, there's no good answer. Like, this problem's not getting solved today.
If you just went like 25%, I would have been like, oh, what,
42.
how? Yeah, exactly.
How'd you get to that number?
It's the perfect number. That's it.
No, but I think that there are cases in which technologies like the Wally chairs, they exist on that spaceship, makes sense. Honestly, I do. I think maybe in mass transit and travel, and like maybe in a future where everything's hyper-connected and there's different ways, I think are you going to argue with, in a self-driving car, making it less comfortable? Once your car is completely autonomous and self-driving, wouldn't it be great to be able to watch a movie in it? You can't do that now because you have to operate it. But the second you don't, it's just kind of like a traveling room. You can play video games on your trip to Tennessee.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty dope.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, it's a train car, but it's just You're on yourself. Yeah, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You're on your own. Or if you take it back to like my business, I work with a lot of like theme parks, big public spaces, and the biggest constant negative issue is people complaining about the crowd. Increasing efficiency in the way people move around big spaces is a problem, and that's one that needs to be addressed. And through autonomous, comfortable environments that people are willing to enter into, that can be improved. And I think there's a lot of room for improvement in those types of environments.
Yeah.
And so, in controlled scenarios like that, I think they make sense. I think they make beautiful sense. Like I would love if I had to go to the airport and I had to sit in a Wally chair instead of having to stand through security, and it just like I watched TV and drank a milkshake to go through that whole experience versus me having to walk through it and do everything on my own, I choose that every time. And I think most people do. And everybody benefits. You're more comfortable. The airport runs more efficiently. Everything is better.
Which, fair, but then I think about, though, okay, what causes the crowd to be so efficient at an airport? It's another degree of human error.
Space, because
Well, it's the space, but it's also Jim, who woke up at 8:45, who has a flight at 9:45, who's running to the airport to try to make sure to catch his flight. And then there's like 4,000 other Jims doing the same thing at the airport. So it's like even with your chair, how did you, like?
yeah, we all
how do
see
you
that
make up
one
for
guy
us being
running
late?
in the airport, like
Yeah.
you know what
How
happened.
do you make up
chair,
for that degree of human error? Like there's
He needs to upgrade from the normal chair to the speedy chair.
exactly. And then it becomes
Oh, and then there's
yes.
premium
And there you go.
levels, and then
There
it's
you
like,
go.
and
Capital
then,
culture.
and then everyone gets to skip the line pass, and then it's just everything's a line.
The fast pass.
Oh, it's already a
Jeez.
headache.
It's already.
At the end of the day, I just don't see an argument for not creating something that's good in some scenarios.
That's what they said about the nuclear bomb, bro.
Yeah, I know.
This is good in some scenarios.
This is slightly
Well,
different.
splitting the atom, not
We're
creating.
splitting the atom.
Yeah.
This is good in some scenarios, and then nukes, and they're like, well, we didn't see that one coming. That's like-
Splitting the atom. Yeah, he's right. It's not nukes.
Oh,
Somebody took splitting the
sad
atom
story.
and made a nuke.
Jeez.
But it's still like,
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
Let's all take a second.
yeah.
Just pause about Jacob's hoodie.
Should we explain what happened?
Oh no, I don't.
Nope.
No one anticipated you wearing that hoodie and us talking
No,
about
no,
nukes
not
in the
at
same
all.
episode. Here we are.
Somebody will catch it, and we'll
I'm just gonna make sure. Oh, there's a camera there too.
It's all documented.
So-
we're too far in.
I mean,
If we get comments, that's engagement.
there you go. You guys are terrible people. Thank you so
so
much.
much for your
You're the
comment.
first person that's talked to us.
Thanks for reaching out. We appreciate your concern.
Oh, God.
Politely fuck off.
Oh goodness.
Love the UIO team.
I have a theory that
Love,
if you end every
sincerely.
insulting things you say, every insulting thing you say with, I mean that in the nicest way possible, you can get away with it.
well, the South's been doing that for a long time.
Yes.
Bless her heart.
Bless your heart.
Bless
Yes.
her
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
exactly what that is.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
But I mean, to the point of the question, the balance thing. There are so many parts of me that want to be on your side.
I know.
There's so many parts. of me
You've
that-
done a good job
Yeah,
of like
you've done a
making.
phenomenal job. And it is the reality of the chair versus.
I had the
human error.
easier argument. You
Yeah,
all came in
definitely.
thinking you had the easier argument, but you didn't realize I had the easier argument.
Yeah, I wanted to avoid the actual scene in Wally, like that.
That's
That's
the
too
big-
much.
Yeah,
That's too
I'm
much.
sure everybody wants to.
too far.
Actually, I don't know. Let me take a step back.
Oof.
Wally ends on the movie where they figure out that, we should stand up and go farm. And then it ends. It doesn't show you 5 days later, once they realize how hard farming is.
They
And they get back on that
Yep.
ship. They don't have bones. They can't do that work. It's not going to work. Humanity in this environment in Wall-E is moving towards the floating brain.
They have bones.
They have some bones.
They're like fat.
So that was
They've disjointed.
Yes.
that was the really interesting thing about Wally, though. Is like, what era of the future is that? They've got to be pretty far along.
2021.
If humans have evolved
I'm just
to
telling
the
you,
point of being able to
straight up,
survive.
everyone on that ship had to go out and start working manual labor.
Okay, right, but here's the like logistical version of that is it may be more comfortable and they might have taken off, but it's like supplies run out. They had supplies, they had enough, but they're not getting anything from any outside sources. They're just getting what's on the ship. So at some point, they do have to come back down and start doing their shit again.
They had to figure that out.
Yeah.
But I bet they're going to figure out how to adapt those robots to do it.
That's actually a very interesting question, and this will be my first off-the-cuff question.
There it is.
What?
Got him in.
Well,
Longer than I expected.
this is continuing y'all's conversation. I'm moderating here. What? I have a hypothetical every episode.
Fantastic.
Here's my hypothetical.
All right, let's see it.
So in the near to distant future, somewhere in between there, if you could own a robot, say you were a farmer, I mean, it is a lot of labor and your entire life. And there's automations now that are making it easier, sure. But if you own a robot that is your property, and that robot is then going out and doing the work for you to make your money, sustain your living, is that the wrong balance between man and machine? Because if you're going off and doing, say, productive things, while you own this robot that is you're reliant on for your livelihood, it has to work. It's not carrying you, it's not doing the work for you. But that to me is an interesting balance between man and machine. And I'd be interested to hear your conversation there. Okay. What does that future look like? Is that possible? Are we moving in that direction?
I think that particular scenario, I think that's fine. I think that's actually a welcome balance. Because it's not the idea, it's moving away from the idea that the farmer has to do manual labor. It's not a requirement for him to do the manual labor. If you've got a robot that can do it for you while you take care of other things, absolutely do that.
His requirement is to grow the corn.
Where the imbalance happens is when the robot stops just doing the farming. When the robot starts cleaning the house. When the robot starts taking care of the kids. When the robot starts balancing checkbooks and all that. That's where the imbalance starts to happen. Where it starts in a place where it's positive, it's freed you up to do something here, and then slowly it starts to take over all your responsibilities.
I think it goes back to a point I was saying earlier with the internet and how it's so young and how we don't really know the best course of action in order to move forward. I think that's another case where you have, like, it's like robots are relatively new in that regard as well. And so it comes back to balance again. Yeah. But it's the similar situation where you just got to learn balance.
It's difficult, too, because it feels like that inevitable thing that it's going to happen. Once you have a robot who can do farming, you're going to have a robot who does your taxes.
Well, I think the way that it works out in my head is what stops the progression of the Wally chair or something to that effect if something's making you money. If your livelihood is sustained, then what stops you from being comfortable, for Tim's argument?
Well, ideally, I would love a robot that went to AMC for me, worked my job, and then I worked at home, and then I worked on other shit.
Right.
Like, if I had something that could... It's like the argument you make if you could clone yourself. It's like, I would send the clone to do this.
You make the $10,000 investment for the lifelong work that it'll bring, money that it'll bring in for you.
Go do that for me. It's gonna.
I'll plot a loan. I'll get a robot. It'll do all the work for me.
It'll do all of that work, and then I can do this work.
Right.
And like Najee said, it's the balance.
But would you do the work from the Wally chair?
No, I don't think so. Like, I wouldn't... I already, if I sit in my bed with my laptop versus sitting at my desk, less work gets done.
I imagine that Wally chair is probably massaging you.
That's less work.
It is less conducive to an environment in which you are...
Want to work.
Here's the other problem. The other point that I forgot to introduce. It's been shown medically that sedentary lifestyles are directly linked to depression also. So it's like...
I think they touched on that in Wall-E as well.
Yes.
Did they?
Well, because they, never touched another person. Yeah. And then they bumped into each other because someone went off the grid and they saw Wally outside. And then they, bump hands and they're like, I love this person. It's like,
this
well, you just met them. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, even to argue inside of that scenario, it's like, I still don't think I'd wind up in the Wally chair. because now I'm freed up to do whatever I want.
Well, I know I wouldn't. Like, that's a big thing. But, like,
When you have another responsibility of something that you're trying to do, if you don't, would you end up in the walling chair? If your mission is to be comfortable,
my mission's not to be comfortable. That's the thing.
ever?
Not ever. But, like, I don't want to retire. Ever.
Okay. Good. Me
That's
either.
a big thing. Like, I don't want to go, all right, I'm 65, now my life's over, and I get to play golf every day, forever. That's not what I've ever wanted to do.
Good.
I want to work and do what I want to do for as long as possible. Like, that's always been my mission. And some people's mission is to, like, I want to make the bare minimum, I want to sit at home, and I want to do, I want
So
to be,
I guess
play video games.
To play devil's advocate here, I want to play devil's advocate a little bit. But
You've got two sides of the argument already.
yeah, if you can sit in the Wally chair and still produce the greatest movie ever made consistently, would you still not sit in the Wally chair?
No, I'd feel guilty. I have a part of me that's like, I would feel really guilty. I have this part of me where it's like, when I'm not doing something, even if I am doing something, if I look like I'm not doing something, I feel like garbage. It's like, if I'm sitting at work and I've gotten all my shit done, but I'm still sitting, it's like there's that part of me where it's like tense and it's like,
You gotta go do.
I gotta go do
It's like
something.
that anxious
Yeah,
side
it's
of...
that anxious feeling. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is up for debate, but like, the point is, if the option was there, I still feel like I would opt out of it.
Okay, well, let's go around and say, like, so we know you're for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
I just keep thinking of that
concisely
chair
say,
for-
like, why is comfort the only reason you're for it? Like, I know you said some practical things with airport, and if that is possible, then maybe that's a good thing. But that is way down the line. Anything, like, for, like, personal use, I think of it like a couch almost. This is like a couch that, like, carries you places. And for Wally...
I think about it primarily from all those perspectives. Comfort is a huge one. Like, the same reason that I really wish I had a dope massage chair in my house. Wouldn't
Yeah,
that be cool?
that's
I'd
not a
love
bad
that.
thing.
Like, it sounds nice. Like, after a hard day of, like, being
Yeah.
stressed and, like, doing all this kind of stuff, I would love to be able to sit down in a massage chair and, like, let it just, like, ease my tension. And I think a Wally chair is a similar scenario for that. And I'd like to have one for that reason.
Yeah.
I'd also like to have them installed in places where I already hate to be, and I have to be there. So, like the DMV or the airport or anything that I am forced to go and stand in a stupid line and, like, do. If I could, instead of waiting in line at a theme park, I could sit in a chair and watch a show and drink a milkshake instead of standing and waiting in line. I'd rather do that.
Could you imagine, like, a giant swing and you're just sitting with your... like, instead of a chair, it's just like a giant couch, not a swing, and you're just sitting there with your friends. Like, that would be better.
See,
That would
Could
be
you
better.
imagine
But here's-
what would be really cool? Okay, again, getting back into ecosystems.
Yeah.
You walk into the airport, you sit down, the chair takes you through TSA, but then it, like, docks into
boards
the airplane.
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool. Like,
here's-
the idea
but
of that
here's-
is so cool.
Here's my thing. It's
It is
like,
cool. I can't.
Then that's
really like
but
that.
every airport has to be compatible, because then you're getting off the plane in the chair,
Yeah.
obviously, and then the chair goes
it's
back into the circulation of that
international
airport.
and-
Exactly. It has to be universal.
Yeah.
But it's still a cool idea.
It is cool.
I love the idea of, like, getting to the airport and like the chair meets you at the door, and you're like, fuck, I got a bad one. Like, it looks like shit. Someone's used this too hard. And then the next guy walks in, he gets like a brand new one. It's like sick. And then it's just like a funny idea.
The ice cream machine's broken. Damn
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
The ice cream machine, I don't work for you guys anymore. It's never broken. It's literally never broken. It is a lot of lazy people. I worked at McDonald's for a month, and I watched them for an entire month say the ice cream machine is broken. But if you walked in the store, you could get ice cream.
Dude, I just want a Shamrock Shake. That's all I
Doesn't
want.
everybody?
That's what I want one so bad.
Man, milkshakes are good. You know
Milkshakes
who
are
gives you milkshakes?
amazing.
Wally chairs.
Wally chairs. They do.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
It was,
It was
it was like the
It was an alley-oop.
underhand pitch. I was waiting for it.
It was
At
the
what
alley-oop.
point do you arrive at, like, because I was thinking about the amusement park one.
Yeah.
The amusement park when you're talking about that. Like, you get to sit in a chair while you're waiting to get on your
That would be
amusement
great.
park.
That would be better.
Yeah.
Do I even give a shit about the ride anymore, though? Like,
Maybe.
once I'm in that chair for
Yeah.
20 minutes in that line,
All right, now
So it'd be
imagine
like-
this. You sit down. You're in line.
it rolls onto
It
the
rolls
roller
on
coaster.
to the
Yeah,
roller
see, that's
coaster,
what I was gonna
and then your chair undocks while you're going down, and then You're dead. The ecosystem's broken.
Yeah, I think you do, because think about it this way. Like, there's like a limit. And this is where regulation always comes
Right.
back into play. I think there's regulation, and they exist for a reason, and they should exist. This is maybe a scenario, if I'm a theme park and I'm running this, I'm going to internally regulate how good the chairs are compared to my rides.
Okay.
But I'm also going to make it better. Like, they have a problem right now where people just don't show up when it's busy, and they lose money because they know they're going to have to stand in line all day. But if standing in line isn't a problem, then more people are going to come. Like, it's not that bad. And you still want to ride if you're at Disney, you still want to get into the Millennium Falcon, regardless of whether you're sitting in a chair watching an anime or not.
And see, that's where, I mean, if we're talking efficiency, at that juncture, I would just build that into the chair.
VR.
Yeah. VR in the chair.
And then you never have to go anywhere.
You never have to go. We're living surrogates. You're living the movie Surrogates in that moment.
All right. Have you ever seen any sort of like cartoon future where they like basically go through
The
the
Jetsons.
entire, like the Jetsons, or the Jetsons, but think
Futurama.
about it, Futurama, where they go through all the progression, like much further than the Jetsons is like midway point of humanity, and then they get to eventually where it's just a big brain and a bunch of floating brains, and they all
Yeah.
communicate telepathically.
Doctor Who as well.
Yep.
That's kind of where we're headed, because we're putting a lot more emphasis on mental than we are physical in terms of our evolution.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's why VR is now growing. That's why we start thinking about potential advancements and how can I just sit and work more comfortably.
But the thing with me though, where that doesn't work, is the brain is still an organ.
Yeah.
And it still requires you to maintain bodily health. Like your brain suffers when you are not at functional
So
health.
when can I upload my consciousness to the chair?
Exactly. That's the juncture at which you
When
have to be.
when
Dude,
can I get rid
Altered
of that
Carbon,
limitation?
have you seen that?
I haven't watched it, but
Oh my god, it's nuts.
I mean, like, wouldn't it be? I mean, I'm like a far right. I like get into the singularity. I like listen to Ray Kurzweil. I'll do all this kind of stuff. If I can like augment my memory to be able to remember better stuff with a computer, I'll do it. If I could get a better arm, like a robot arm, like
Be a cyborg.
dude.
I'll be a cyborg.
The day I can get an arm that's better than this one, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's easy.
Agreed.
That's dude, no question asked. I played through Tales from the Borderlands.
Yeah.
And Rice has the or Reese, whatever however you say his name. It's R-Y. Yeah, Reese. Okay, has the robot arm, and then he gets a cooler one at the end. The minute they come out with a robot arm that's just as good as a regular arm, and then infinitely better, I'm there.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Because you place a lot more emphasis on your mind than
Yeah.
you do your arm.
Well, here's the other thing though. How much of
What
this
you would
is-
do with the arm
this
versus
is the
what
murky,
the arm is.
Yeah.
This is the murky waters though when you talk about like uploading human consciousness. Once you hit
Then it doesn't
like
matter if
the
you're fat.
internet. Well, not even just that, but when you
Upload it
get,
into
are you even?
Then-
How much of you is you anymore? If you
Well, I think the right
uploaded
question to
your
ask there
consciousness,
is
like,
how much do you experience the comfort then?
Yeah.
If the entire
Oh, if
goal,
you're just data, how much do you?
Oh,
How much do you feel? How much do
Well,
you experience? How much
like,
of your humanity gets lost?
all of it
in there?
gets
Which is,
processed
like,
through the brain, so you could just
humanity
mimic
is the
that.
This is the thing. So that's thinking. That's thinking us, right?
Yeah.
But let's say 10 generations removed.
Well, there's no
We're-
reproduction.
We're 10 generations.
There's
out
no
of-
reproduction if you're
Yeah.
data. There's no
Reproduction.
generations. The generation that gets uploaded is it.
Yeah, then it's
Not
immortality.
necessarily though, because generations go from generations to becoming versions. Because that's what a generation is in data.
Right, okay.
V1, V2,
Maybe
V3,
it just-
V4.
But
It
there's
takes- it
there's
takes-
never an update. It's just you can learn. But
There absolutely
there's
would be an
no
update.
but there's
if
no
if you were to upload your consciousness,
It takes the biology out of it.
I'm just saying, if you were to upload your consciousness within the first hour, you're gonna be nowhere near the same person you were because now you have unlimited access to all the information that exists. So it's
Why can you say that? Do you believe that your body is the person that you are? Or do you believe it's your mind?
your mind. But what I'm saying is it's like taking.
But you can't really separate the two.
I really hate to use this example
It doesn't feel like.
because I hate this movie. But Lucy.
Oh, I thought you were
got
going to go
this-
with... I totally thought you were going to go with... Oh, what's the one with
Full
the...
Metal Alchemist.
I mean, I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I don't know why you actually want your arm back. Your arm is pretty cool as it is. Going back to the cyborg.
But like Lucy, it's the concept
My
of
one
like
anime reference for this
It's good.
table.
Well done.
going from using 10% of your brain to using 100% of your brain. Like your consciousness wouldn't be the same anymore. Like you wouldn't be the Tim that you've known yourself to be for this period of time.
Wouldn't I be?
Yeah.
Well, it's
Why-
like, it's basically...
how would
Okay,
you be?
so imagine your brain, but you've plugged in a 100 terabyte hard drive to the back of.
Like the Matrix.
I
I learned
guess.
Kung Fu.
It's like... it's just infinite, the amount of
yeah.
stuff that you can remember and access.
Okay.
You're going to be different. You're going to learn
And
a lot
and
more.
I think it'll
And
also arrive.
you also have to factor in how different it would affect you if, like, okay, so now my mortality is not an issue.
Right.
So now you're doing a bajillion different things that don't affect, like, your human body.
Yeah.
You're a different person entirely. And that leads me back to, you're not fucking other code. There's not going to be another generation.
It was my actual thought as you were speaking about it.
Yeah.
I no longer get to have sex with my wife.
Well, but you can have. So there's
Virtual sex?
There's like a really
O's and ones, man.
no. There's a great movie with Wesley Snipes in it and Sylvester Stallone called like I can't remember. It's like in the 90s. Well, basically, they're in some dystopian future. Like everything's different, and they don't have sex anymore. Not physical sex. They both put on headsets, and that's how they.
I just heard
God,
about
I'm
this
so
movie.
angry. I can't remember
That's
the
how
name
they
of
have
this movie.
sex.
What movie is it? Hold on. Talk about what was
Wesley
in it?
Snipes, Sylvester
Wesley
Stallone,
Snipes,
they're like a
Sylvester Stallone,
dystopian.
Sandra Bullock.
They're like cops. One's a cop, one's a robber or something like that, right? And they both get like sent into the future
I really
on accident.
am upset. I
Yeah.
don't remember the name of this
Someone
movie.
just told me about
I
this
don't-
movie.
Yeah.
I like that movie though.
But this is what I was getting at. Like procreation doesn't have to cease. It just has to. You just have to remove biology from it. Like sex has to cease, like as you know it today. But it can change. That's how it might become tomorrow.
But-
and then an algorithm can just as easily
Well,
take
here's-
like 50% of the
well,
DNA
see,
of
it's
both
not even-
people
it's-
and create a second entity.
It's not even
Correct.
correct. It's not even correct to say that code doesn't reproduce because that's the whole idea behind like games like No Man's Sky. It's code. Procedural generation is reproduced code.
Okay, yes, but that's stored on a server somewhere that has a limited amount of space. There's going to be a point where it fills up. So you can reproduce to a certain amount, but there's going to be X amount of people you can create, and then that's it. If there's no one in the real world, no one's making another server.
Why wouldn't you make another server?
With what
Even
space?
being uploaded. What do you mean with what space? You have unlimited space.
No, you're in the... Okay, so you're in the internet,
You're in
and
the
all the
internet.
data has to be stored somewhere, physically.
Correct.
So if there's no one in the real world, and there's a X amount of servers that are currently running that you have connection to, it's going to run out.
But if my consciousness is uploaded to the internet, I'm absolutely gonna just manufacture some robots to build more servers.
Oh, okay, that's
That's
okay.
that's
If
like you could
if you can make that happen, then yes.
that's the thing. It's bringing your mind to the point of you are literally limitless. It's the idea that every issue that has ever existed, you have the answer to, and you can solve it.
Demolition Man?
Yes.
Okay.
Which one?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Also-
I was told to watch it.
Also,
Okay.
Coneheads.
Coneheads.
Coneheads. I haven't heard
Also
Coneheads in a
thinking Coneheads.
long time.
Excellent. Yeah, Dan Aykroyd. You want to say something, Jacob?
No, I don't know. I kind of checked out when we started talking about like consciousness, and I said I watched Altered Carbon, and I was like, I got enough of the downloading my consciousness
Wasn't that
into.
such a
thing.
sweet series?
It was
love
really
that.
good.
It was really
I
great.
enjoyed it, but it's also kind of like I don't know.
There's a
It's-
new one coming out with Nick Offerman called
Wait. Ron Swanson, Nick
yes,
Offerman?
yes, Gins or something like that. And it's this whole concept that like the world is basically prefabricated. Like there's a group of people that are running the world, and you think you're contributing to the world, but you're not. You're just experiencing it.
I think if you take it back to like Elon Musk and all his stuff, even he's on record saying that he's pretty sure that our existing world today is a simulation.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's like I don't know. There's not real like you can say that and have
Just
your
watch
opinion,
Rick
but
and
there's not
Morty.
really much significance to it at the like.
He's also not ready for. He doesn't want AI, which I 100% agree with him on.
Yeah, I don't want
I
AI.
don't either. Not true AI.
Not
Because of the
Yes.
exact problem that Wally just created, they realize that humanity is the problem, and they start hurting us as cattle.
Well, yeah, because Wally is the children's
they go
version of
Ex
Terminator.
G-rated version.
It's the G-rated Terminator.
Like I've said,
That's your
like
title.
I said before, when we,
G-rated Terminator.
Yeah, Wally is just G-rated Terminator.
like I've said before in our
Fantastic.
Man and Machine podcast when we did, like AI is not going to be like Terminator's never going to be a real thing that AI does. It won't.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. AI is not going to like actively seek out and kill humanity.
What if AI built another version of AI because they need, and then that version of AI was Terminator.
Okay,
So
if AI is true consciousness, it's dude.
So-
we're at a constant
hear me
war.
out. Hear me out.
But
Here's-
they're just going to be wholly efficient.
This is what makes Terminator stupid, though. This is what makes it a ridiculous movie.
Time
If
travel.
it's true AI, if it's absolute true AI, why are you trying to kill humans with guns? There are so many other ways you could wipe out the human race so much more efficiently. As an artificial intelligence, you should know how to do it. But you're choosing to fight with guns. Like, let's think about it. Because we think about it. Because Terminator is AI eliminating...
If that's your argument, then they're cutting off all of our resources and we die slowly.
Boom.
So the argument is not that we're not going to get killed by it.
Yeah,
It's just
your
how
argument is that it's just not going to be with guns.
Very
Well, it's also...
differently.
Well, I'm
It came
making the
across
argument
very
that it's not going to be AI just wanting to kill humans.
No, it's going to be one swoop. All right, no resources, everyone's dead, problem solved, check mark.
But there's going to be
So about that Wall-E
an
chair.
underlying reason.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the alternative
It's
of
the best
getting
case
fed
scenario,
milkshakes.
because if we're left to our own devices, we're going to kill each other.
We already are.
Yeah,
We
we
already are.
definitely already are.
I think we're headed in a direction that is, I mean, you can't say that for every geographical location, but the majority of like humanity is moving in a positive direction. I don't know. I take an optimistic outlook on it, and
Yeah, I don't.
His face is wonderful.
I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, and it probably is very naive to say that, but I don't know. I think that the more we learn, and the more, like you said, the more. I mean, we won't even talk about resources because that's a big part of like war. But the more we learn, and the more we focus on our minds versus focusing on the physical, the more we understand humanity, we understand connection, and we understand I don't know. I think that is a unifying thing to help bring us together.
Spend 30 minutes on a busy highway and you'll realize how much everybody doesn't give a shit about anybody around them.
That's
it.
That's because
literally nobody gives a shit
the
about
only
anybody
reason
else.
that works is because you literally are essentially anonymous on the highway. Unless you see like your friend that you work with, you're never seeing that person again. And that's the only reason that works is because there is no social repercussions to that.
Right, so why would the person in the United States give a shit about anybody in some third world country? It's anonymous. They're never going to know that it's not their problem.
Because, I don't know, when you start bringing up the conversation of humanity, like, I don't know, I think that is a powerful factor in, like, just moving forward. Like, the reason people care about, like, Australia and, like, the animal, like, there's a certain level of, like, respect, and maybe we don't have that in America as a unanimous culture. But I think that we're moving in a direction where people care about that more. And
I think the cathedral, I think Notre Dame has more money that's been donated to it than Australia has. If I'm not wrong.
well, that's fine.
Why?
Well, that's easy. Because how many things have you seen on the news about Australia? How much news coverage did Notre Dame get after it got burned down?
I think the day of Notre Dame and the day after was huge, and then Australia is like consistent. I've seen it everywhere. It's one building versus half a billion?
Half a trillion.
And half a trillion
Half a trillion.
animals?
No. I think it's over $1 billion.
That's the last number I read was half a trillion. I don't know if that's.
I thought it was
It's,
half.
It's a lot.
Fact check check us, Matt.
It's half of some
Jamie, look
large
that
number.
up. Didn't we watch Joe Rogan?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Jamie, you're looking at it.
My point is, I think Notre Dame has had more
500 million.
500 million.
Half a
Half a billion. So that's okay. Yeah, Half
That
a
is
billion.
significantly less.
Less
Yeah, but still
than 500.
scary as hell.
That's still a lot.
Half a million animals dead, and 0 deaths from Notre Dame. And more money is going to Notre Dame than
Notre
Australia.
Dame was a Disney movie.
But so
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Sure.
so when I say,
I'm sorry. I even university movie and
but that all comes from
Notre Dame.
No,
That all
I'm
comes
saying
from a
Notre
perspective,
Dame,
though.
Notre Dame.
Because what we're talking about is a perspective. It's the way that people view, which bleeds directly into Corey's point. But I think your optimism is warranted. It's the idea that if it's not at my doorstep, I don't give a fuck about it.
The reason I was saying it's a Disney movie is not because I was trying to correct you. It's because more people love it because it's a Disney movie.
Oh yeah.
It's
exactly.
closer to home.
Yeah.
And so more people related to
Closer
it
to their
and sent money to it versus
People aren't relating with Kangaroo Jack.
not as much.
Damn. No,
Well, I
I've never
also
watched
think
that movie.
I think it's probably the more wealthy population too.
Correct.
That's
but
more
to my
concerned
point,
about history and landmarks and than a group of animals in Australia that I don't think they think about Australia very much. And it's
My
like,
point
well, we go
being-
to Notre Dame we go to visit Notre Dame every summer. So obviously, my generations must appreciate
and-
the
and
same
I-
thing that we appreciate.
I think your point is valid, but I think the reality of why that viewpoint exists is because of the perspective that's taught. It's the individualistic perspective that's taught. Because if you sat a bunch of people down in the room and explained to them how Australia losing 500 animals could eventually lead to no drinking water for you, I guarantee you people are pouring money into it. But it's the reality that there's this massive disconnect between cause and effect. When it comes to situations so far away that's not directly at your door, people are not readily going to act. Notre Dame, sure, it's just a landmark. It's not 500 animals, but it's a landmark that people in that town lived in and walked by. So it's like me putting money towards this, I can directly see the effect I can have. Versus, I'm going to pour some money into Australia. Maybe it gets there, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it makes a difference. I don't know if it
my
really
point
matters.
is, it all ties back into the essence of the problem with the chair, which is if it's not within my peripherals, it's not my problem. It is you are in the comfort of your existence, and that's it. They don't
Yeah.
give a shit about anything else.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. On a larger scale, it's the fucking world, and no one gives a shit about it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Like I said, I think that there's times and places for the chair in the sense that there are times and places where it's permitted to be focused on yourself, such as when you're on vacation or when you're traveling or you're trying to do something that you're working on something for yourself, which is most of the time. How much of your day is actually spent focused on the needs of other people? Generally.
Depends on what you do.
How just Matt like
Very strongly depends on what you do.
Well, let's
Like,
just take it from the people within this room.
well, yeah, was because I work retail at Home Depot, so I spend 8 hours dealing with other people's problems,
Dealing with other people's problems.
trying to help them create solutions for stuff that they don't know how to fix.
Do you like that?
Sometimes, not all the time.
the sake of the argument, you do?
For me, that's a big fat no. I don't give a shit about the people coming into the theater because they all hate everything. They're just so negative. I hate it. Everybody comes to the theaters in such a
I
bad
could
mood.
say that you've been kind of negative as well in the past 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. For me, I realize that's a pattern, and you gotta look for. I don't know.
I'm not knocking your optimism, and I'm also so I'm arguing for the sake of argument
Okay.
to go. I disagree that people. Okay, I am optimistic about people, but to say that overall we've been moving in a good direction, I don't think that's the case.
Why? I don't know. On what scale? I look at war, and yeah, America has been at war for a very long time. But the more that we become aware of war has been on the decline.
Only because other technologies have taken the place of people.
Maybe, I don't know.
We'd be fighting on
This
the
is
same
totally
scale. We'd been fighting on the same scale with people if technology wasn't readily available.
I think
This
that the state of humanity moving into a balance between technology and what we've always kind of known humanity to develop into, how hard we've had to work to progress, people trying to vie over land and what their beliefs and figure out the right way to coexist. There's always positives and negatives.
Yeah,
I agree.
The ability to coexist at large is better than it has been in the past, where, people were holed up in castles and, this is who we are, this is what as a king I dictate, this is what we believe, and I'll murder you or execute you if you don't believe it. This ability to coexist has improved, but also in that coexisting, it's really just coexisting to ignore, which is kind of to your point. You're just holed up in your own space, and you just go, yeah, other people believe other things. Good, fine, good for them. It's interesting. It's, on the one hand, less people are getting killed. Less people. I would love to see those numbers. It seems like less people are getting killed for personal beliefs compared to like the Crusades and stuff like that.
It's only because we're just blowing up other people's technology. It's like it's like AI shooting at AI now.
Yeah,
Where
sure.
it's like, if that wasn't there, it'd just be another person
right.
getting blown up
So
for oil.
for me, I think our ability to close in on ourselves is probably the scariest part about our advancement. And so, against what you're saying, Jacob,
I mean, in all honesty, like, I'm kind of against what I'm saying too. I not totally.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really desperately want like progression for like society. Not necessarily. I mean, technology is cool and like exploring space. Like, there's a lot of cool things, but it.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. The reason I argued against what you said is because, okay, so our ideals, I think, are the same. I want people to get better, and you do too.
Yeah,
That's your whole point. But
I just take a naivety to it, I guess.
I just don't want. Yeah, what I'm saying is, I don't want to ignore the issue, which is like to say, "Oh, we're going in the right direction," because then that's everybody going,
here's the
"Okay,
thing.
we're going in the right direction." If I
That's
go,
fair.
"We're all shit," then it's like we need to work towards a goal. Then it's like I want to address it.
His
I don't want
optimism
to.
is not unwarranted, though, because I think about the little subjects that we go through. Like global warming 20 years ago was a myth from Al Gore so he could become president.
Okay.
Now it's a real issue that everybody's considering. The Amazon rainforest has been getting chopped down for hundreds of years, and it just burned last year, and everybody freaked out about it. Like, we have to preserve that. So I think optimism is warranted. As information has come further along, as we've had more access, people have become more involved with the issues of the world. That's not to say we're in the best possible place, but we're definitely in a better place than we were yesterday.
I agree with that.
I feel like that's what I wanted to say.
I think, but my negative. Okay, repeat what you just said. Repeat the ending of what you just
I
said.
was saying that we're definitely in a better place than we were yesterday as far as how involved we are in the problems of the world.
Okay. I guess I can agree with that, but I think it's only because I don't think it's due to our. This is really negative, but I don't think it's due to our want to do something. I think it's due to like time passes and shit advances. Like people do work. Like I think it's only we're at where
Wait.
we're at because it's almost inevitable.
What does that mean? Time passes and
Shit happens.
Time passes and shit happens. Like my point is.
Sketchy.
I don't know.
Okay.
I was expecting something way more negative from what you said.
From the build-up?
Okay,
From the build-up, yeah.
so what he's saying is we are involved in more issues and we're trying to tackle more things.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason we're in those is not for the correct reason, but it's just like, all right, we have to, fix this to maintain us. Like we only address the problem when it's
But that's,
dire.
That's how every problem ever that man has ever had.
I know, but if we could get ahead of it,
You can't.
it-
That's basic human psychology and survival. Like, the reason you address problems like that is for the sake of your own survival. That's period.
Thank you all for your comments.
Yes.
Much appreciated. I think the debate was overall a success.
The page was blank.
Just turn the blank page on camera.
I think to sum up the debate and
How did we
our
get to
ultimate tangent. Well, I think when this topic was first posed to me, one of the hopes that I had was that we would break into this concept of what is man versus machine, the balance of where we're at, and advancements, and even the regulations was a really interesting topic. So I think for me, hearing what everyone said and hearing all the sides and all the different perspectives of the Wally chair, which in reality is the conversation about advancement toward personal comfort, towards
Autonomous control.
people having to do less for themselves, right? I think there is a place for it. So immediately, when I ran through this entire debate in my head, it's interesting to know that I still have landed in the same place after hearing everyone's thoughts, is that if it is made, I mean, it's being made. The Segway chair is the first iteration, absolutely, of it.
Honda made one a couple years ago.
Okay, so there you go. So it's been made, it's being remade,
Yeah.
which is even more of an argument for it.
Stephen Hawking had the original.
Right, like, the reality is...
For people like that, I didn't even come up with that argument. People who can't do things.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's... that's the necessity, and I think that's
Okay, well, that's
unarguable.
already... Okay, hold on. 2 seconds. I love that argument because it's like we have mobility scooters for people that can't move. And then now people are using it because they're just morbidly obese.
True.
It's so funny that it's already being used in like... In version of the Wally chair, it's like 0.01, like version 0.01, and it's already being abused.
But you can't point the negative finger at the product for those other
Correct.
people who are abusing it. Because for every person that abuses it, you got 10 people, who are
people that
using
are
it
using
the
it
way it's
correctly.
supposed to.
Exactly.
I was just gonna say, when you make that argument, it's like, well, you're not gonna make mobility scooters for people who need it because
No, exactly.
some other crappy people
That's
are
exactly
using it
the-
wrong.
No, that's exactly the point. That's
Yeah.
It's such a that's crazy that it didn't come up during the actual
Yeah,
debate.
it is crazy.
No, I think that's what it boils down to, is there's a time and place for most things.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue against that, and I think to say if someone came along and fully fleshed out the hovering Wally chair that if you sit in it will do everything for you, it becomes what is the proper way to use something like that, and does it have a place in society? I think it's not a question about does it have a place. I think some people are going to find,
Yeah.
I have enough money to sit and do whatever I want, and I'm going to do it this way.
I think it's going to replace
If the
cars.
Wally chair is presented to me as an upgrade,
Could you imagine 70 in a chair?
Oh my god.
ride a motorcycle.
Put your helmet on.
You'll get a nice little
Motorcycle is
dome around
pretty
you. You get a
close
nice
to
TV. You get a nice little milkshake machine. Like, and that's your.
We are really stuck on this milkshake.
The milkshake.
We are not. We need the
You
milkshake.
stop at the gas station and 2 pumps go into the chair, one's for gas and one's for fucking milk.
Yes.
There could be like company branded mobility like Wally chairs.
Yeah.
You could have like
Okay.
McDonald's ones.
So
and,
here's the
like
thing,
people
though.
buy that because they get all the McDonald's.
So here's the
branded
crazy
stuff.
part, though. So now you think about the after effects, though, because there's a
brilliant.
huge oil crisis, right? But now there's a crisis for milk. Now we're invading India because Indian people think cows are sacred. Now we're at war with India for the cows
Yeah,
because
they're
we
not
need
gonna-
more
they're not
milk to
gonna let
supply
that
the
one.
chairs.
No.
World War III.
Is over cows.
Over cows. We fight World War III
I
over
think
cows.
somebody
Specifically for
should
milkshake.
make
Milkshakes.
like
Chair
a,
milkshakes.
like a mini animated series over that exact scenario.
That's season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots.
Yes.
It actually is.
Oh man.
Copyright that. Someone's
Yeah,
gonna make it.
yeah. That's
Fuck you,
ours.
Netflix.
That is ours.
Actually, talk to me.
Closing statements. Does anyone have anything that they thought swayed them in a different direction, or that they learned, or they thought was interesting about this debate?
It's time to stand up again. You know,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's all.
That's what I learned from the debate.
Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah, it's really nice because it's almost like I'm like framed
Framed
up
in the chair.
in the. So it's good.
We just wanted to show off our bottoms, guys. That's all.
Yeah, we're getting seat chair cameras next time.
No one wants to look at my Hank Hill ass.
Dang it, Bobby.
I'm so excited for people to see this and just be like, what the?
Fuck.
That's what they look
yeah.
like?
Yep, this is it.
This
the
is
full,
us.
full picture.
But yeah, honestly, I was delightfully surprised by this debate.
Yeah.
Genuinely, it was nice to have. I still hold fast that the Wally chair, as we have known and seen it, I think it's a dangerous thing to produce. I don't think it's necessary, for humanity, and I think as far as we have conversations about technological advances, if it was necessary, it'd be a different conversation. But the fact that it's being created just for the sake of a comfort is like, nah, I don't think so. It brings it even more into that frame of being abused versus the mobility scooters that we were just talking about, which were created for a purpose. Now, if you told me that the Wally chair was the mobility scooter 2.0, that it was meant for this specific group of people, we might have a different conversation. But it coming from just a point of comfort is like, I'm good. I'm good on it. Now, if they get made, I'll probably try one. But
Naturally.
Definitely would. Yeah.
but considering all the health risks that are involved and everything that comes along with like the human psychology and how we abuse technologies like that, I am still not for the wallet chair. But
It also costs like $50,000 to purchase one.
and then
Like a hovering,
that was-
milkshake producing,
yeah.
ultra comfort.
That was the other part of the conversation.
Autonomous
That's version
chair.
26, though.
I frequently
It's like, well, don't some cars cost that
Yeah.
much?
the other part of
So
my
if it
closing
tastes
Car
argument
doesn't give me milkshake, though.
that I'll make was the other issue that
Better
I have
value.
with the wallet chair.
But
is,
it gives you the ability to go get a milkshake.
It does.
They got out of hand.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I want the cookout version of the chair.
Ooh.
37 flavors. How many?
Something like that. Yeah, just give me the cheeseburger tray, the chicken nuggets, fries, and then a
Cookout does
milkshake.
sound pretty
Yeah.
that's like the final issue I guess I take up with the wallet chair too is the idea of availability. How many people get to use the wallet chair? How much is the wallet chair?
It's a
gonna
one-time
cost?
purchase.
Is who has access to it? How much of the world is going to be left behind when that new technology drops? So it's just all questions like that, bringing into consideration where I'm just like, as it stands right now, I don't think we need a wallet chair. Maybe one day in the future, humanity will be ready for something like the wallet chair, but I think right now,
I think I'm ready for debate 2, which is the merits of the Matrix. So
yeah, me too. Definitely ready for that.
Using humans as a power source, literally the worst idea ever.
no, not that part.
We don't want those.
Actually, maybe that part.
It's 0% efficient.
Oh man.
Okay, we'll get the my closing statement. Or you want to go first, Jacob?
No, go ahead.
Okay, my closing statement. I appreciate the reasoning behind wanting to come into a debate against the Wally chair. I think that is a good reason. And that being the fact that I believe that would be the natural first stance on this subject gives me faith in Jacob's argument of optimism about humanity.
Which I'm not very optimistic
That was
about.
a great
apparently.
circle, my friend. That was good.
However, I retain the fact that the Wally chair in itself is not at fault.
That is, you can't really disagree with that, I don't
Nope.
think.
You can't disagree with that. And I believe that it does, like many technologies before it and many technologies since that are yet to come from it, raises a great question about how we use technology and what our own faults are and what we need to be focused on.
Yeah.
And continuing advancement of technology has proven to continue to force us to have that conversation. So I believe it is in our best interest to continue to mass produce and do as much as we can to continue to push the boundaries of technology for all things, whether it be physical fitness or comfort or anything else, because that's how we grow and evolve as a human race. And so I don't see any reason why you should limit or say we shouldn't make this product, because I think it unnecessarily caps a potential stream of innovation in humanity.
Well said, my friend.
Yeah. And I will say I came in very firm in my opinions. And I don't know, you did a good job of, I guess I came to the understanding that The chair is not the problem. And if we as a collective want to avoid the scene where you just have the super overweight people in the chair floating around, just drinking their Coke, then I don't know. Again, that's not the chair's fault.
Yeah.
That's the people. So.
Yeah, I it was so tough to come in and argue against like my actual point of view, which is like obviously it's up to the person to make the choice. Like the product is not the issue, the people are the issue. So it was interesting coming in and like trying to find points to go, well, this is a downfall of it. This is this is just, I don't know. I mean, my closing statement is just like be responsible for your actions. Like do what you be responsible for what you do. Don't blame the chair. Don't blame a product for your ignorance. Like, do what you need to do, and then enjoy comfort, I guess.
Enjoy your milkshake.
Enjoy your milkshake.
Shit happens as time
There's
goes
the
on.
title.
Enjoy your milkshake. Shit happens. Time goes on.
There's the title.
Wally is the G-rated Terminator.
Yeah.
Got a lot of titles floating around here.
That's what we do.
This has definitely been more fun debate than I expected.
Good.
100%.
I'm glad. It was enjoyable
I've
for
thoroughly
me too.
enjoyed this.
Yeah. So, welcome to season 2.
Welcome to season 2, folks.
Like, comment, subscribe,
Yes.
share, tell a friend.
I'll kill you. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Don't threaten people.
No,
That's not.
that's the
Wow.
chair.
That's what I'm
the
saying. Look,
opposite.
all publicity is good publicity. All publicity is good
The
publicity.
chair will make you much more docile.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought the Hypnotoad, like if you incorporate the Hypnotoad with the chair, now you just force people to live in comfort. They're none the wiser, and they're more comfortable.
I'm just saying, you want the fastest way to eradicate war in society? That's it.
Put a bunch of people in some chairs.
With a Hypnotoad.
We should go to war today. Yeah, but have you sat in this lazy boy over here? It's great.
Just
no
don't
no
get
one was
up.
fighting on the ship in Wally.
They can't.
Just sit there and think about it.
They're unable.
Yeah, like the worst thing that happened to them was they accidentally fell out of the chair.
Let's be real. That looked pretty catastrophic when it happened.
Well, they had the robot that was there to like lift them back in.
Like I'm
Pretty
so sorry for your
catastrophic.
trauma.
Oh, man.
He had nightmares about that afterwards.
That's good. I think that's it. I think that's a good closing point. So we look forward to seeing you for the next episodes. Let us know how we're doing.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Signing off.
Yes, and yes. Thanks for being here. Done.
Be like Tim.
Be like Tim. Listen to anime, and anime is an important part of our culture episode, and understand what that means, and then be like Tim.
Yes.